Assalamualaikum and hi. In this video, we're going to go through the solutions for week 8 part 2 Java string manipulations from question 2 to question 4. For question 1, it says here you have been given a piece of code. You need to identify 6 arrows. What I have done is I've copy pasted the code here, and let's go through this line by line. For the first line here, we define an array, and we know that for us to define an array, we need to have the curly bracket. So we need to have the open brace and close brace, not the square brackets. That will be my first arrow. Now, if we want to loop through the array, here they are using a for each loop, not the conventional for loop, okay? So in order for us to use a for each loop, if you look into this, actually they refer to the element as str. So we will need to change this string to str. And that will be my second arrow. I would like to explain a little bit more about this for each loop here, where I have provided an example here, if you can see. We have string array, hello Java, welcome to programming array and string in Java. So this is an array of string. If I want to loop through each of the elements within this string array, okay, using the for each loop, I can do something like this, where the string here refers to the data type. This is the string array. This one is the name of my array, whereas this is a variable that point to each of the elements within that array. So if I want to print each of the elements, I just do system.out.println string. If I run this, you will see each of the elements display here. So I can just change this, for example, to, let's say, my elements. So if I change this to my element, then here I would need to change it to my element as well. Now, if I run this, I will get the same result. Okay, let's move on to the third arrow. Let's find here. Okay, so here you have system.out.println length, string.length. Remember, this is actually a method belong to the string class. So you need to have the open and close bracket. So that will be my third arrow. Now you have a if-else conditional statements here. If string contained, the accurate method for this is contains with s. So that will be my fourth arrow. Remember, the method is contains with s, not contained. Now, I want to check whether there's a string Java within my string. So I need to use double quotations to represent that this is actually a string. So here will be double quotations. So within this line, I have 2 arrows. The fifth one is we need to have the double quotations to represent strings. And finally, if we scrutinize these if-else statements, let's say here we open it. So we need to close it somewhere here, okay? So for this if, I open and close it here. For else, I open and close it here. Now, if I run this, I should be able to get the result, as you can see, okay? So we have a total of 6 arrows here. That will be my 6 arrows where I need to have the proper open and close brace. So let's move on to question 3, where you have been given 6 digits, and from that 6 digits, you will need to identify the birthplace and also the gender. What I've done here is I have write down a few parts of the codes, and I'm going to show you how I can actually combine them. If we look into the questions, the first thing that we need to do is it says your program must prompt user to input these 6 digits. Okay, so what I've done here is I have created a scanner object, but first I import the scanner class, something which we have done so many times. I put in an instructions, ask the user to enter the 6 digits, and I read it as string. Okay, because later on I will need to do some string manipulations. I can't really do it using integer, right? So for example, if I put, let's say, integer here, 030005, okay, I will have problem to extract the numbers from the integer later on. That's why I choose to use string, okay? So for the first part here, I just ask the user to input a string, which is 6 digits, and put it into a mynum. Now let's run this. And you will see, for example, if I put in 030005 here, it will display 030005, okay? Once I have that number, okay, of course, I will need to combine that with the second part. So this part focus specifically on the Java string manipulations, where if you notice, I use two methods. The first is a substring methods, where I want to extract the state code, because based on the question here, it says the first 2 digits, right? The first 2 digits, for example, 11, this indicates the state of birth, right? So for example, if it's 11, then that will be Terengganu. Okay, so what I need to do here is I want to extract the first 2 digits. Okay, so I use substring here, where we know that, for example, if you have 6 digits, okay, the first digit is always start from the index 0, okay, and second, of course, is 1, 2, 3 up until the end. The final one will be 5, right? So first index will be 0. Last index will be 5. But here I do substring 0 to 2 because we know that for substring, this 0 indicates the first index. These 2 indicates the last index, but the difference here is for the first index, it is inclusive, right? We have learned that. Whereas for the last index, it is exclusive. So if we want to have the first 2 digits here, which is 0, index 0 and index 1, we need to do 0 to 2 because 2 here is exclusive. Okay, that will be the state code. Okay. Now moving on, if I want to extract the last digit here, okay, I want to extract the last digit to find out that whether it is actually male or female, because based on the question, it says odd numbers for male and even numbers for female. So of course I need that digit. So what I can do is I use the char add method here. Now remember, we have discussed this earlier, where if I want to get the last digit, okay, or the last elements within this string, I can actually do my num.length -1, where my num.length will be 6, -1 will be 5. Of course, you can just write 5 here, okay, and I can print it out. But if we run this, you'll notice that there will be an error, okay? We do not have any problems with the first one, where I can extract 03, as you can see here. The problem lies with the second part here, okay? Second part here, where if I use my num.char add, okay? We know that char here refers to the character, okay? Char at the index. But if you notice here, for the variables, I declare it with the data type string. So that is the problems, because we know that if we use the method char add, the return type will be character, not string. So we need to change the string to character. Okay, we need to change the string to characters. Of course, well, if you want to change the name of the variable, you can do that as well. Gender code in char. Gender code in char. Okay, so now if I run that, I should be able to get, so as you can see, the state code here is 03, and the gender code, which is in character, is not number, is 5. Okay. Now let's move on to the third part. Third part here is using a switch statements to identify the state that a persons were born. So for example, here I declare if the state code is 09, I'm using string here, okay? So I have expressions here within the switch. If you notice, there's a conventionals or the default way for us to define a switch statement. So if case is 03, then it's Kelantan, 06 is Pahang, 11 will be Terengganu, And by default, anything is other than that will be invalid state. Of course, in the real life situations, you have lots more codes to represent each of the states in Malaysia. So if I run this, given that I have 09, then I will get invalid state because 09 is not in 03, 06, and 11. But if I change that to, let's say, 03, I will get Kelantan. All right. Okay. Now let's combine this before we move on to the next steps. So of course, first is we ask the user to enter the 6-digit, and then we are going to extract the state code and also the gender code. So what I'll do here is I'm going to copy this, okay, and paste it here after I get the user input. So my user input is my num. So here, of course, I use my num, and I put that into string state code. Of course, that's fine. And character here, well, I can basically put that here. Okay. Then what I do is I'm going to use the switch statements, so I'm going to combine the switch statements as well. So I'm going to copy and paste it here. Right. So up until this point, given a 6-digit, right, you should be able to print the state code, the gender code, and also the specific state in the form of string, right? Kelantan, Pahang, or Terengganu. We're going to run this again. And let's say our test case is 030005, 030005, okay? So we get 035 and also Kelantan. Now we have a very final part to complete, which is to identify whether, given this number or this digit, a person is male or female. Of course, the rules here is it says if it's odd, I'm going to write it down here, odd will be male, even will be female. So we know that in order for us to identify whether a digit is odd or even, we can actually use modulus to do that, okay? But the problem now is what we have extract earlier is in the form of character. If you notice previously, where I do my num char add, it returns a character, right? Even though here it shows a number, but this number is with a data type character, okay? So what I'm going to do with this is I will need to somehow change this variable in the form of character to integer, right? You might want to do something like this. For example, you do integer gender code in integer is equal to gender code character, where in this case, you will be able to switch variables in the form of character to integer. But now if you print this, okay, if you print this, I'm going to comment out the rest first. If you print this, you will get 53. So why you get 53? If you can recall earlier, we say that each of the character is represented with a ASCII code, right? Remember we say about ASCII code? That's why you get 53, which is the ASCII value of the character 5. But of course, we do not want this 53. What we want is actually 5, right? So what you can do here is you can use a specific functions. I'm going to comment this out again. As you can see, we're going to use a specific functions here, character dot get numeric value gender code char. Okay, there's a specific functions that we can use to convert the gender code in character to gender code in integer. Now let's try this once more, where I'm going to print the gender code in integer. So I'm going to do system.out.println gender code integer. So we want to see whether it displays still 53 or 5. So yes, you get 5 here, right? You get 5 here. Okay, I should have comment this out. Okay. So this is what we want. We want that 5. Okay. So now let's move on. We confirm that actually we get the digit that we want, 5. Now we can put in a if-else statements to determine whether a digit or number is actually even or odd by using this. So for example, we do gender code. Well, I need to change that to integer really. Gender code integer modulus 2 is equal to 0, then the gender is female, else the gender is male, and then I print the gender here. So if I'm going to run this again, I will get 5. 5 is an odd number, so that will be male. Okay, now I can actually combine this section to my final code here, okay, where it print the states, and then finally it will print the gender code characters. That's right. I'll print the gender code where I do not need to print that already. I'll print the gender. So now let's try to run this again, given that 30005, okay. I will get Kelantan and male, which is correct because 03 is Kelantan, 5 is an odd number, which is male, okay. Now, if I change that to 070002, I should get, because 07 is invalid, right? But 2 will be female, okay? So I should get invalid state with the gender female, okay? So yes, I get invalid state and the gender is female, okay? So there are a lot of different built-in methods that you can use to change from one data type to another. One of the examples that you have seen here will be from character to integer. You can also change from string to integer, right? So what you can use here will be, for example, if I declare a variable string, and this is 5 here, notice that it's still the number 5, same as what we have previously, but because I put in the double quotation, so this is automatically a string. So if I want to convert this string to integer, what I can do is I do integer.parse integer, and then put in the variable with the data type string here, and I will get that integer. So if I run that, I will get 5. Right. Question 4, the last questions. There's no code involved here, but I just want to discuss the possibilities of using generative AI like ChatGPT to help you in coding, and what are the potential issues that you might have. Here it says, write a prompt to ask ChatGPT to provide the output of the following code. Verify if the output is correct. So when it says write a prompt, means you are going to write a questions to ask ChatGPT the result of this, okay? Well, of course, before we write some questions, we can actually run this and get the result. Okay, so for example, now I just paste the codes here. If I run that, I will get definitely 3 and 19, right? 3 and 19. Now, if I'm going to ask the same questions to ChatGPT, if you look into this, I've actually tried 2 different versions. The first one is a ChatGPT version 3.5, and I think this one is ChatGPT version 4. So if I look into this, I write just a very simple prompt where I ask, what is the output of the following Java codes? I give ChatGPT, or I gave ChatGPT this piece of code, and then it kind of like do some explanations here, but obviously it provides me with a wrong answer, because we know that from what we have run here is 319, okay? So that's version 3.5. Now, if we try a better version, you might say, because 3.5 is a free version, I'm going to try a paid version, which is version 4. I'm trying to ask ChatGPT with the very same questions, what is the output of the given code? It gives me 321, which is also a wrong answer. So let's try yourself, and you might want to share your answer with us. But what I really want to prove here is it's really important for you to understand the basic concept. So for example, in this case is dot last index of you. So you should know what is this method is trying to do. And from there, you can actually check that whether the answer given by any generative AI, including ChatGPT, is correct or incorrect. So please use generative AI like ChatGPT, Google Bard carefully and wisely to help you in coding tasks, but never believe in the result given by this generative AI 100%. So I think that's it for this video. Thank you very much.